Hi, how is everybody doing? Happy April. We're in it, right? Have a few things I want to talk about today and something kind of special I want to end with. But let's check in first. I did a little short that had an acronym for April. Anchor, and I came up with, it came to me like a download, when we can talk about what that really is too, right? Anchoring, partnerships, and realities in love. And someone asked me what that meant for me. So let's talk. First, I want to say, welcome to my channel, The Mary Mystic at Real Life Mystic. I think most people attracted to my channel are mystics, and that simply means we like to experience life and learn through experience what the divine means for us, how the consciousness really works, and so on. So to answer her question, first of all, I say it's much about staying present. We all get busy in our daily lives and we become scattered. Our energy becomes scattered. So the number one thing is to take the time every day. You can do it while driving or at a red light or go sit in a parking lot a minute and just pull over. Do those deep breaths and take like to the count of 4 in and push it out with 6. It helps regulate your nervous system when you do it that way. And do a few of these breaths and you will tell. Let's do one right now. Okay, just to the count of 4 in and 6 out. See that longer out breath? It helps regulate the nervous system. And you do a few of these and it calms our nervous system. Then we can go to the center. You may want to put your hand on your heart and go to the center of your being. The you that's your higher self that is connected to the all that is, whether you call it God, the universe, energy, presence, creator, source, doesn't matter. Your connection to that. So that anchors you in feeling your loving presence. And then that helps you be more loving to others. And it's been kind of amazing for me. I feel kind of emotional saying it. And it's just some little regular stuff I've had to do. I have really had a few people that have been struggling. No one I know personally. But I was able to, in some small, tiny way, because of circumstances, cross their paths. And I feel like I got to play a tiny part in just saying a kind word. And I could tell it made a difference. So it can be simple like that. And I also want to speak to holidays. If you celebrate holidays and you have to go to family, have to, isn't that a strange word? If you feel compelled or want to go to family. For a lot of us, like I mentioned before, I was raised in a very, very conservative, traditional background. And I'm very different than my family. And holidays, when you come, and most of us do, I'm not judging. God knows, please hear me. I'm judging no one here because we all are just messy human beings. Most of us were raised by parents that were emotionally immature, and their parents before them, Lord knows what they came from. So we're a compilation of all of this. But the ones here with me today is because we are more intentional. We are self-reflective because we want to know ourselves better. We want to feel more connected and more peaceful. And I wish that with all my heart to every one of you. So think about it when you contemplate going to family. If you come from a family where there is high stress or tension, and I see comments on channels where people are like dreading and waking up with almost having panic attacks. You don't have to do anything. There would be holidays in my family. I look back now and I realize a lot of times right before Thanksgiving I would get sick, or once I hurt my knee. And I thought about this because I started noticing the patterns, and I wasn't doing it on purpose, but kind of I was subconsciously. Like Carl Jung, like if we don't have the awareness, our subconscious runs the show and we call it fate. So my body was speaking because it really didn't want to go face. I just, there's still times I'm just not evolved enough to go spend much time with family because it's so easily to be triggered from any of our childhood wounds. And they're triggered and you know, it can be a hot mess because I have kind of a big family. Not quite as much these days, but so think about that. If it feels right and you can go and just be loving and talk about the weather and the babies and just things that are neutral subjects and enjoy a nice meal together or have a little Easter egg hunt for the kids, that's lovely. If it causes you true consternation or triggers you and you're just not in the right place, love yourself enough to do your own thing. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to have your own tradition that you create just for you. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I'll keep this a little shorter today. I do want to talk more. I said I was going to share another secret about that, how to stay in a loving presence. Hey, don't think I'm sitting up here meditating all the time and always in a loving presence. I'm we're just all messy humans and we have our challenges. But I have had some experiences in my life and I want to talk about this. I'll go ahead and pose a question and maybe we'll discuss this in the next video because I would love some input. I had something years ago, probably it's almost 20 years ago now, where I had what is referred to a lot of people in the metaphysical community as a Kundalini experience, or the therapist I was seeing at the time called it my 2 weeks of enlightenment. But it was something that happened spontaneously. And I could tell the full story at another time, but the bottom line, I had been doing a lot of deep inner work and reflection and reading. And I had been meditating for years at this point too. And it was after, I think I'd been on a retreat the weekend before, so I'd been out in nature a lot and on the lake. And we weren't really doing deeply spiritual work. It was more of it was more from a therapist with, you know, how we function. It was a little more psychology based, but we are spiritual beings, right? And we deeply connect with nature. That is our nature. We are part of nature. And I was in my garden and I had a little private back area. I always make sure I have that for myself. It's so important. And I was surrounded by my plants and I had music. And I was just being like a little bit of a hippie girl. I think I was like out swaying to the music and just, I was, you know, in a beautiful place and I was all alone. And like that, I just went to this place out of body, but I have no words. That's why I really kind of wanted to talk about it a bit, but it's hard to put an experience into words. Maybe that's something I'll work on. But I went into this space that I call bliss, and I just wept for the joy of being. I mean, it was like, I've heard those kind of things, like, you know, people have some kind of break like that and they just sit on benches and cry all day, but they're just at peace. I'm like, what? But anyway, this is what was happening. I remember I just called the person that I'd doing some of my groups with and all, and I'm like, I've just had something happen, and I was in a beautiful, beautiful space. I could just sit on my sofa and weep and be in pure bliss. And I'd make a sandwich and be in bliss over that. It was everything. And I thought, but how do I function? You know, and I had a small business at the time. I needed to go to work. I had to see people. And so anyway, the story goes from there. But I had to learn how to integrate that experience. How many of you guys have had something similar? And something I've been thinking a lot about lately. This is more the mental mind. What caused that? At the time, I thought it was something, I mean, I felt very connected to a source energy, to the universe, you know, and it felt like something kind of outside of me and a beautiful experience. But was it my hormonal, like our hormones, like the dopamine and all the different hormones that take us places? And had I had years of meditating and enough positive experiences, and just that one day things lined up, and all of those just grew to this point that they surged through my chakras, my body centers, however you want to look at that, that created this. I would love to hear your input on that. And it didn't mean, okay, the girl that asked about how I do this daily, it didn't mean now I'm different than anyone else. I made me a better person per se. It did do something though, because I'm still messy and I'm still, you know, who I am. I didn't stay in this beautiful, blissful state 24/7, but it'd be hard to function as a regular human being. But my point is, it did something in here. Once you really have had these deeper spiritual experiences, and I'm sure you've had yours and they don't have to look like mine, it changes. It changes and expands. It expands your heart space and understanding your soul. And so I can touch that place even in the middle of chaos. I can touch that place still. And I've had more experiences since then, like little mini versions of that. So grateful for that. But I also, you know, we want to be humans, don't we, right? I want to, you know, go out for pizza with my friends and laugh and go to a comedy club and have fun. Where this is about learning balance. Does that make sense? This is a good month to talk about that. So we'll do more of that. But I want to close today by wishing you, if you celebrate this holiday, a happy Easter. If not, it is spring here in the States, on my continent. And that is just an opening. And April is usually, for some cultures, was more, it almost feels like this is more like a new year to me. So just whatever your new beginnings, the energy is that way right now. I'll tell you that. There's something in your life that's new. I guarantee you that you're expanding and looking at something differently. Are changing. You may be moving or changing the way you dress, or who knows, but something's new. I just feel it. So I want to wish you that, and I want to close with, this is something I've had for a long time. This was actually, not this one, but the Desiderata was in my high school yearbook. And I've always kept it. I keep this one. I've got to get a new frame for this one up. But at the very end, I want to leave you this message. With love, it's my wish for you. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labors, aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep pace with your soul. With all its shame, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. From my mystic heart to yours, lots of love.